Rome Reports comes to you from the Department of Social Communications, Catholic Archdiocese of Accra, this and every Sunday from 3:30 to 4 p.m. on GTV.
Our family has spanned the centuries and the globe. With God's grace, we started hospitals to care for the sick. We established orphanages and help the poor. We are the largest charitable organization on the planet, bringing comfort to those in need. We educate more children than any other institution. We developed the scientific method and founded the college system. We defend the dignity of human life and uphold marriage. Guided by the Holy Spirit, we compiled the Bible. We are transformed by sacred scripture and sacred tradition, which have guided us for 2,000 years. We are the Catholic Church, with over 1 billion in our family, sharing in the sacraments and fullness of the Christian faith. Jesus started our church when he said to Peter, the first pope, "You are rock, and upon this rock I will build my church." So if you've been away from the Catholic Church, we invite you to take another look. Visit CatholicsComeHome.org today. We are Catholic. Welcome home.
Coming up in today's show, the Pope asked to pray the Rosary during the pandemic. See Pope Francis's gift to 3 hospitals. This Rome producer launches a creative initiative against the coronavirus. All this and much more here on Rome Reports. Pope Francis wrote a letter to Catholics as the month of May is set to begin. In it, he asks everyone to invoke the Blessed Mother's intercession in the month of May and rediscover the beauty of praying the Rosary at home.
Con una breve lettera pubblicata ieri, ho invitato tutti I fedeli a pregare in questo mese il Santo Rosario, insieme, in famiglia o soli, e pregare una delle 2 preghiere che ho messo a disposizione di tutti. La nostra Madre ci aiuterà ad affrontare con più fede e speranza il tempo di prova che stiamo attraversando.
The prayers offered by the Pope invoke Mary, health of the sick, and ask for protection and strength for all medical professionals who are risking their lives on the front lines. The Pope insists praying will make us more united as a spiritual family so we can overcome this time of trial. During the coronavirus pandemic, Pope Francis has been offering encouragement to the world. From praying the Our Father with Christians of every denomination to imparting an extraordinary Urbi et Orbi blessing, he's accompanied each action with powerful words about keeping hope and courage alive. Pope Francis reminds Christians of their identity and that God is never changing, even during this time.
Perché quando ci sentiamo con le spalle al muro, quando ci troviamo in un vicolo cieco, senza luce e via di uscita, quando sembra che Dio, perfino Lui, non risponda, ci ricordiamo di non essere soli. Gesù ha provato l'abbandono totale, la situazione a Lui più estranea, per essere in tutto solidale con noi. L'ha fatto per me, per te, per tutti noi. L'ha fatto per dirci non temere, non sei solo. Noi siamo cristiani perché siamo stati eletti. In questa elezione c'è una promessa di speranza. Il segnale è la fecondità.
He recalls that going from the season of Lent to Easter and Jesus' death to resurrection, Christ remains the hope for Christians.
Il Signore ci interpella dalla sua croce a ritrovare la vita che ci attende, a guardare verso coloro che ci reclamano, a rafforzare, riconoscere e incentivare la grazia che ci abita. Non spegniamo la fiammella smorta che mai si ammala e lasciamo che riaccenda la speranza. È un altro contagio che si trasmette da cuore a cuore, perché ogni cuore umano attende questa buona notizia. È il contagio della speranza. Cristo, mia speranza, è risorto. Non si tratta di una formula magica che faccia svanire i problemi. No, la resurrezione di Cristo non è questo. È invece la vittoria dell'amore sulla radice del male. Una vittoria che non scavalca la sofferenza e la morte, ma le attraversa.
He doesn't play down the difficulties and suffering, but says in order to face them, courage is also needed. Pope Francis asks people not to give up in this time. He says to remember that God is bigger than any problem that could arise.
Sorella, fratello, anche se nel cuore hai seppellito la speranza, non arrenderti. Dio è più grande. Il buio e la morte non hanno l'ultima parola. Coraggio, con Dio niente è perduto. Se sei debole e fragile nel cammino, se cadi, non temere. Dio ti tende la mano e ti dice coraggio. Non te lo puoi dare, ma lo puoi ricevere come un dono. Basta aprire il cuore nella preghiera, basta sollevare un poco quella pietra posta all'imboccatura del cuore per lasciare entrare la luce di Gesù. Basta invitarlo, vieni Gesù nelle mie paure e di anche a me coraggio.
Pope Francis gives a daily message like this each morning when he celebrates Mass. His advice transmits globally since he live streams each of his public appearances. It's another way he's living out his pastoral call as the shepherd of the Roman Catholic Church and a spiritual leader in a world with an uncertain future.
Signore, non dimentica.
The Vatican has confirmed the 52nd International Eucharistic Congress in Budapest, scheduled for September 13th through 20th, 2020, will be postponed until 2021. The decision was made by Pope Francis, the Pontifical Committee for International Eucharistic Congresses, and the Hungarian Bishops' Conference, due to the current health situation. The ambassador of Hungary to the Holy See, Edward Habsburg, says he understands the decision.
Of course, this is a very reasonable decision by the Holy Father and the Holy See. We are living in a very special time, as I don't have to tell you. And an event with currently 60,000 inscriptions will simply not be possible in early autumn this year.
The President of Hungary invited Pope Francis in February when he visited the Vatican to celebrate 100 years of diplomatic relations with the Holy See. The Pope's attendance throughout the week-long event was not official, but many were expecting him to at least conclude the Congress on the last day.
We have a saying in Hungary. First I give you 3 presents, and then I give you a 4th one. Every single parish in Hungary has been praying for 3 years for this Eucharistic Congress, and we have the feeling that the Pope gave us the present of a 4th year of preparation, so we can go even more in-depth in our preparation.
The event, he said, will also reflect on the lockdown, when the Eucharist is not so easily accessible as before.
I also think that we will include in the preparation our experiences from the coronavirus time. Because I don't know how you feel about it, but for me, it was a time where I understood even deeper the importance and my own desire for the Eucharist. So we can incorporate that into the Congress next year.
Various sites throughout the city were marked for different parts of the event, which has taken place regularly since 1881. It's the second time Budapest will host the Congress, after originally holding it in 1938. Now they only have one more year until it's their turn again.
In recent weeks, the Pope has cited on several occasions Alessandro Manzoni's book, The Betrothed. It's undoubtedly one of the Pope's favorite novels. Early in his pontificate, he even confessed that he had read it at least 3 times. He even knows the beginning by heart. The Pope quoted one of the novel's protagonists during his homily at the Easter Vigil.
Se sei debole e fragile nel cammino, se cadi, non temere. Dio ti tende la mano e ti dice coraggio. Ma tu potresti dire come Don Abbondio, il coraggio a uno non se lo può dare.
The Betrothed isn't the only classic the Pope loves. He is also well acquainted with Dante Alighieri's Divine Comedy, a fundamental part of Italian literature. The Pope's taste is wide-ranging. He's passionate about the works of German poet Frederick Hölderlin and English Jesuit Gerard Manley Hopkins, who belonged to the Oxford movement. He also confided to Vladimir Putin that he's a fan of Tolstoy and Dostoevsky. In fact, he cited the brothers Karamazov during his trip to Abu Dhabi, and he praised the humanity of its characters in his recent interview with Austin Ivory. When he was a young literature professor, Bergoglio invited Jorge Luis Borges to give his students a creative writing class. In those years, he would recommend to his students Ethel Mannon's Late Have I Loved Thee. He also advised journalists to read the apocalyptic novel, Lord of the World, by English author Robert Hugh Benson. The Vatican Apostolic Library was founded in 1475. However, a papal library had already existed 10 centuries earlier. It holds the oldest complete Bible manuscript, a treatise of falconry from the 13th century, and a complete edition of Ptolemy's geography.
Coming up after the break, the pandemic hasn't stopped human trafficking. You're watching Rome Reports. All the way from the Vatican, Pope Francis is sending 5 respirators to hospitals in Romania, 3 to Madrid, and some to the Italian town Lecce. It's how Jorge Mario Bergoglio is celebrating his name day on the feast of St. George. The papal almoner Cardinal Condre Krajewski will transport them to Lecce himself.
Partono questi ventilatori per la Romania come un segno come un abbraccio proprio da parte del Santo Padre in questa situazione difficile per tutto il mondo. Il Santo Padre manda questo messaggio forte proprio nel giorno del suo l'onomastico.
Cardinal Krajewski has been carrying out many charitable works during this time on the Pope's behalf. He gives food to the poor and homeless in Rome, around the Vatican, and train station. He likewise has given yogurt and milk to 2 congregations of sisters who had many cases of coronavirus in their convents.
Amid the lockdown, exploitation and human trafficking is still taking place. It has taken on a different form, also indoors, hidden from the street. It has also put many girls who rely on prostitution for their livelihood out of food and money. Sister Gabriella Bottani, coordinator for Talitha Cum, discusses how religious sisters in 22 regions help the vulnerable amid the pandemic. Their dignity also is the product of sexual exploitation that is sold throughout the internet and not physically in prostitution, for example. The difference is the tool that is used. Because of the lockdown, it also reduces the services, the sexual services they offer, so they are really suffering from hunger. For many, selling their body is the only way they survive. The sisters that make up Talitha Cum in 76 countries thus bring food to them, give psychological help, and offer career training so women can provide for themselves and leave these dangerous situations. The problem is, many of the sisters' safe shelters are unable to take in new girls due to social distancing. As a result, psychological assistance has gone virtual through social media or phone calls. Now, vulnerable victims are trapped inside, instead of being trafficked on the streets.
We do not have anymore
We do not have it, prostitution, anymore in an official way, so it is more and more in a hidden context. So we do not have it anymore on the streets, but in apartments, in flats. The problem is how we can reach them now, and it makes it more and more difficult. Sister Gabriela says instead of being passed around on the streets, girls are exploited and then distributed online during the lockdown in the form of pornography.
In this time where people are locked,
In this time of particular lockdown, where maybe they are afraid to go out and buy these kinds of services, so there is the risk. The increase of the demand for online sexual services is real. We buy it virtually, but it is not fiction. It is reality. So the real exploitation, there is going on a real exploitation. What I am accessing in the computer is not like what you see in movies. Talitha Kum continues to offer career training during this time, with many girls making face masks to distribute. However, another issue is how these girls can make a living after the pandemic, when jobs are scarce and prostitution seems like the easy way out. Problems like these lead the sisters to discern how to do their jobs more effectively.
important thing.
What is the most important thing? The process of healing, the process of staying together with survivors, trying to build, trying to renew their life, build again life, a rebirth. It's something that is helping us also in this different time to listen deeply to what life is asking us to do. The sisters are also adapting to this changing time, as doors are closed and people are indoors. They are figuring out how they can better serve the most vulnerable in society, who seem to be highlighted even more with the current crisis.
While the world is on lockdown and priests and bishops can't celebrate Mass, in the U.S., around 25% of seminaries are still open. St. Vincent de Paul Seminary in Boynton Beach, Florida is one of them, with more than 80 seminarians and 14 priest faculty. Monsignor Tubes, seminary rector for 8 years, says after consulting healthcare officials, they decided their seminarians would be safest at their 70-acre seminary.
Safest on so many levels. One, physically. Two, spiritually, that our seminarians are continuing to be in formation, to receive the sacraments on a daily basis, to continue with their studies, spiritual direction, formation advising, and really take to heart this moment in time of the need for prayer for our world.
They practice social distancing, placing sticky notes on the pews in the chapel to make sure each person sits far enough apart. The only staff is the kitchen staff, who take their temperature each day before coming in. Seminarians also have noticed various changes.
Our seminary actually brought onto the faculty a priest who graduated and was ordained last year, who once had a career in the fire department, who was an EMT for over 20 years. So now he is here on campus as well to help us as a community, just in the event that any need would arise.
We have masks that each of the seminarians have, and so we're encouraged to wear those, at necessary times. We've been taking more responsibility in cleaning, doing cleaning of the chapel, high traffic areas, the chapel and the refectory, the cafeteria, classroom.
But it's not only social distancing and prayer. For some, their ordination to priesthood has been postponed as a result of the coronavirus. Transitional deacons Adam and Connor were both to become priests this May 2020.
I really look forward to that day when I can be ordained. However, I understand that where we are right now, I'm being ordained to a particular people at a particular point in time. And if that means that being delayed, then I trust in God and I trust that that's where I need to be.
Not only is the ordination postponed, but it's postponed hopefully to a date that will be far enough into the future where the brunt of the pandemic will have dissipated.
In the midst of this time, the seminarians say they're receiving the sacraments with a truly grateful heart, since so many do not have access right now.
The desire to come to the Eucharist, to hear their confessions heard, but are incapable of it because of these times. And it allows a different dimension that I've never thought of before.
For us to remain quarantined, there will come a time when our seminarians are ordained, they will be on the front lines. But for right now, our job our pastoral ministry is to prepare well for the priesthood of Jesus Christ.
Like everyone, they look forward to the day when life will return to normal. But until that time, rest assured of the seminarians' prayers and continued formation to better serve the faithful when this pandemic is over.
If the pandemic has made anything clear, it's that this is a time for solidarity. The Italian Red Cross and its volunteers are one example of this. In Bergamo, one of the cities most impacted by the coronavirus, volunteers have been at the forefront. Ivan, for instance, is a nurse who responded to the call. I didn't think so much about the courage of this gesture. Yes, okay, coming here is described as being on the front line of war, but in the end, all I felt was the need to come and lend a hand. I wasn't afraid, I just felt I had to do it in that moment, and here I am. Being there on the front line has made him experience a painful and intense reality. Unfortunately, people might have many conditions, but respiratory conditions are really visible. You see patients struggling to breathe. It's really terrible to see with your own eyes. It leaves an impression. These are very difficult times, both for those in the hospitals and for those in isolation.
Immagino anche un po' di solitudine rispetto a questo.
Hai paura di ammalarti? Sì, signor Claudio? Sì, sono Fabio, lo psicologo di Croce Rossa.
The Italian Red Cross has provided a phone number, 800-06-5510, for people at home in need of mental help. Similar initiatives are also available in other countries.
Trovare un ascolto.
They want to be heard without being judged. They want to feel supported. The second or third time they call, people report improvements in their emotional state. Knowing that there are available professionals helps people feel less alone. The Italian Red Cross constantly strives to grow closer to vulnerable populations. Volunteers are available to go to the supermarket or the pharmacy for those who cannot. Their crucial message is clear. It's time for responsibility, but also for solidarity.
What country produces the most video games? China, Korea, the United States. You're watching Rome Reports. What country produces the most video games? China, Korea, the United States. The correct answer is A. China produces the highest number of video games. You're watching Rome Reports. Have you ever wondered what it would feel like to lead the church? Now the possibility of being elected Pope is just a click away. The Pope Simulator video game lets you live out the experience as an adventure. From the conclave to giving blessings from the balcony, the game even lets you design your own emblem. You'll also have to face leadership challenges, make hard decisions, and travel all over the world. There are some particularly interesting features. For example, the video game character replenishes strength each day through prayer. This game, available for PC, allows you to experience a day in the life of the Pope. It even lets you make your way through St. Peter's Square while greeting pilgrims and blessing children. With Pope Simulator, you'll be making the front pages around the globe, but you'll also get a glimpse of what it could mean to be Peter's successor, all from your own screen. Added to the already complex Venezuelan situation is the coronavirus pandemic. Among the list of scarce items in the country is alcohol, a basic sanitary product in preventing further spread of the virus. In this context, Santa Teresa, the iconic Venezuelan rum brand, allocated 60% of its alcohol production to the manufacture of antiseptic alcohol.
Santa Teresa's
distillery has always had the capacity to produce alcohol, not only for our aging process, but for industrial processes, where alcohol is distilled and used in parts of the supply chain by various industries, among them pharmaceuticals and hospitals. In just 10 days, the team at Santa Teresa got to work to make their product available to citizens in different commercial establishments. They've also made important donations. Donations of thousands of gallons of alcohol have been registered. They've gone to authorities and local healthcare systems. For example, all 3 municipalities where the company is present and the 2 neighboring municipalities are being disinfected with this donated alcohol. The city's public spaces, streets, and boulevards are being sanitized with the alcohol donated by Santa Teresa. The first units were donated to public health networks and to the National Hygiene Institute, where the country's COVID-19 tests are done. They say the best way to face this emergency is together. We can either win as a team or lose as individuals. That's why we've asked each of our partners to be in daily contact with their work teams. That way they can understand the reality. This is yet another example showing that when institutions lack the capacity to act in moments of crisis, the initiatives of regular citizens have the power to offer effective solutions. In our next program, we'll show you how the Vatican is facing the pandemic. This and much more here on Rome Reports.
Should I try to use my mind to figure everything out, or should I simply rely on faith to understand? See, those who rely on faith alone to view the world are not using their minds to reason. And those who only rely on reason to interpret reality are turning their backs on the gift of faith. Well, the perfect solution involves a marriage of both faith and reason. See, God knew that we would be full of questions, big questions as large as our universe. And God created us with intellects to wonder, dream, and philosophize. Yet God asks us to believe in some truths that we can't see with our eyes. We can arrive at perfect truth when we choose to see with the eyes of faith while we reason with our minds. And our faith can truly blossom when we explore it with our mind. Maybe St. Augustine said it best. I believe in order to understand, and I understand in order to believe.
Live true. Live Catholic. Live Catholic.
For over 2,000 years, the Catholic Church has consistently transformed through sacred scriptures and sacred tradition. It is comforting to know that some things remain consistent. Live truth, live Catholic. Visit our shop at Shiashi, opposite Gethsemane Cemetery, and find for yourselves the following: monstrance, chalice, candles, clerical shirts, Bibles, writings of the early church fathers, and other sacramentals. For more information, contact Live Truth, Live Catholic Bookshop on 020-222-0376 or 024-960-6155. Live Truth, Live Catholic, your number one stop shop for your religious items.
Rome Reports comes to you from the Department of Social Communications, Catholic Archdiocese of Accra. This and every Sunday from 3:30 to 4 p.m. on GTV.